Hey guys, we want to take a couple moments just to equip you as community group leaders to do a couple of things. One, to lead your groups as effectively as you can, but also to join us in prayer as a leadership team as we press into this idea of church plants and church partnerships and campuses. And we want to be out front and help answer some of those questions for you so that you can pray with us and lead your groups well. And so we've asked Bill to share a little bit about what we're doing in that area.
Yeah, as Doug said, we've talked a lot lately about church planting and campuses, and I want to clarify kind of two things for you today, hopefully. One is the why. Why would we be talking about church planting and campuses? And then secondly would be the how. How are we going to go about that, hopefully, as Doug said, to equip you better? The why is simply this. You know, when we open Scripture to the New Testament, we see Jesus look at his disciples, and he gives them the Great Commission, right? We talked about this all last fall in our series on discipleship. He looks at them and he says, go and make disciples. And they do that effectively through the local church, right? It begins in Jerusalem and it goes out from there to Ephesus, to Corinth, to Philippi. The local church becomes the vehicle or the organization around making disciples. And we'd say it this way at Fellowship. We're here, we exist to glorify God by proclaiming Christ, right? Maturing in the faith and being equipped to give our lives away. That's making disciples. That's how we've defined it in our context today. And so that really is the why behind the what for us. You know, when you look at Nashville, you often think, gosh, there's a lot of churches in Nashville. And there are per capita. But the reality is that about 70% of the people in greater Nashville, and almost every community is similar to the next, are not in the local church. So even with all the churches and all they're doing week in and week out, we're still just touching about 30% of the people in Nashville. And we at Fellowship as leadership have a real heart, a real passion for reaching our city uniquely with the gospel of Jesus Christ. To do what? To make disciples. So that's kind of the why part. That's who we are. That's part of what you know about, to be true about us if you've been around here any length of time. And we're excited about all that God's calling us to. Okay? Now the how. We really have three models for seeing the church go forward, seeing the church go out into our community and beyond. The first is what we'd call a church partner. And that relationship between us and another church would be with a like-minded church, certainly theologically similar, certainly similar in values. And it would be like a big brother, little brother relationship. It'd be a mentor, coach to them, encouragement to them. Great example of that is what we're doing with Ray McKelvey. If you've heard a couple of weeks ago, Ray stood up with Michael and we talked about what he's doing in Antioch. And he'd be a church partner to us. We're going to walk with Ray. We're going to help resource Ray as he gets started. We're going to be an encouragement coach to him, help see him move the church forward in the community of Antioch. Okay, so the first is church partner. Second would be a church plant. And that's where we take our DNA, our specific DNA, our core values, our uniqueness, our contribution, and replicate it somewhere. Be similar to what we did with Reed Monahan in New Brunswick, New Jersey. He was a part of our inversion staff. He launched out of here. He took the fellowship model and reproduced it in New Brunswick, New Jersey. Think about it this way. The model would be mother-daughter. Like we are, our relationship to Fellowship Bible Church Little Rock. We're a daughter church of Fellowship Bible Church Little Rock. Reed Monahan, Jacob's Well is a daughter church of us. So it would be independent, autonomous, no common finances, no common administration, but a replication or a multiplication of our model for church. That's a church plant. And then thirdly would be a campus, and that's what we've spent some time talking about the last couple of months. That's what we hired Eric Hoffman to do, and that is to go launch a second Fellowship Bible Church campus in this community. So when he launches, probably somewhere in the south, we've talked about that, we would be one church in two locations. So a campus is us, not mother-daughter, not big brother, little brother, but this is Fellowship. One common mission, common purpose, common finances, common administration, common budget, just a unique application of that in a different part of this community. Okay, so church partner, church plant, church campus. We're going to send you an attachment that has more detail about those three things.
Now, if you guys have questions about any of this, I really want to encourage you to talk with Tom or Derek or Larry or Dan. They have this information. They can walk with you through this. It'll be a great resource for you. That and the handout hopefully should answer your questions. But again, if you have any, go to your community group pastor, they'll be glad to help you out and clarify for you. Just a couple of other things I want to remind you of real quick as we finish up the year. We're trying to do something a little different with our end of the year celebration. Rather than doing a big event over in the worship center, we've asked the community group pastors to do something just a little more personal. In fact, they asked if they could interact and esteem you and thank you in a little more personal way. So we're having these smaller dinners by community, and I really hope you can make those. It is just going to be a great time, a sweet time of connecting, and just a chance for them to say thanks for all that you do in our communities. And then lastly, I just want to remind you, we're getting in here into late April, early May. We're starting to wrap up for the year, for the school year. Can I just encourage you to finish strong? It's real easy at this point to just kind of start coasting. Let's finish strong with our groups, encourage them into the summer. If you meet with them during the summer, that would be a great time of connecting. But you guys are doing a great job. We are so grateful for you, so grateful for your leadership, so grateful that you lead by example. You guys are wonderful models for our body to follow. We love you guys, we appreciate you, and we'll talk to you soon.